I think there's more pressure on Matthews, I guess, from what you're talking about, a perspective of like, can he be as impactful as a player if he doesn't have a superstar winger getting him the puck, right? And it's both in the regular season, it's in the playoffs, it's at 5-on-5, it's on the power play. Like in all situations, Matthews and Marner were tied at the hip. So can he still have the level of production that's needed to allow this team to win a division and keep their hopes alive to win a Stanley Cup? That remains to be seen. Austin Matthews, has to go out there and perform and be just as good as he's been the last 4 or 5 years. If he can do that and do it without Mitch Marner, then obviously mission accomplished. Then that clearly means that Austin Matthews can get it done without Mitch. But that question is very much looming in the background. We've talked about it ad nauseum throughout the summer, how a lot of experts are predicting a bit of a drop-off from Austin Matthews. FanDuel had his points total sub 90 points this year. So there's a large, number of people who are expecting Matthews to take a bit of a step back without Mitch Marner. But at the same time, when I look at the playoffs, like I think pressure, like when I look at Mitch Marner, I think pressure doesn't come for him until the playoffs.
Yeah.
For me, like I think that Mitch Marner is going to be fine next to Jack Eichel. They're not really going to talk much because Mitch Marner has always been able to perform regardless. So he's going to do what he does in the regular season. I have no issues, and it's not much of a drop off from Matthews to Eichel. He should be fine. But what does he do in the playoffs? That's where I think the pressure comes from him. It's completely playoff dependent, and whether or not he'll be able to perform, because that's always been the knock on Marner, especially those games 4 through 7. Can he live up to the moment, and can he perform in those big time games? Because if he doesn't, I think that people are going to start, it's like, okay, it didn't happen in Toronto, and now you've gone over to Vegas and you're still laying goose eggs in game 7s and 6s and 5s. That will get noisy real quick for Mitch Marner if he lays a dud in the postseason this year.
Especially when you consider who he might be going up against, right, in rounds 1 or 2 in the playoffs. It's going to be McDavid. It's going to be Draisaitl. 2 guys who are notorious for carrying their teams in the playoffs. And if he goes up against them, and, as much as he'll be away from the Toronto spotlight, if he's playing Edmonton in the first round, that's a Canadian market right there. He ain't going to be able to escape the media in that regard. And those same questions could be asked of them, even though it's not in Toronto. So, and I think even in Vegas, like Vegas has established that if you're not, getting the job done, it's not going to be a smooth. He's not going to be able to hide from it, right? I think sometimes like that, the Vegas market, everything's kind of seems to be chill over there, but that organization has established a standard, right? How many players have been traded out? They don't have their they don't have their Conn Smythe Trophy winner anymore. Like, he got the job done, and then he's not. They decided to move on, right? They've traded away so many different players, because it's all about what can we do to be better. Now, Mitch Marner has signed a contract that's made it kind of hard for Vegas to do that, but it also, I think, comes with a clear message that, while you're going to be getting away from the pressure of Toronto, there is pressure in Vegas too.
Yeah, so they're both going to have immense pressure. I think we can agree with that. I think it's pressure differently. Like, I think there is pressure for Matthews to prove that he can perform to his heights without Mitch Marner. But for Marner, it's just, can he perform in general in the playoffs? Or was it the market, or is it him? Like, that's where I think the pressure comes for Mitch Marner, and he's got that question that he has to answer. So I think the answer is they both have a lot of pressure on them this year for very different reasons. And I'll be excited to see if they can both live up to it, right? Can they reverse narratives, and both have successful seasons? I guess we will find out very shortly here, at least for Austin Matthews. For Mitch, though, we're going to have to wait until next spring to find out if he can kind of get through that mental barrier that he's had late in playoff series and see if he can alleviate the pressure there from that perspective. Really quickly, before we get going here, Dave, did you see this story in the it was in the Toronto Star? Yeah, the Toronto Star. Was it a Bruce Arthur piece? Yeah, Bruce Arthur hasn't done a lot of sports recently, by the way. He's kind of, I don't know, I feel like I haven't seen him write about sports too often these days.
I saw him in Vancouver actually for the Grey Cup, but he's
bouncing all over the place now.
Bouncing, definitely bounced around a little bit.
Yeah, but he broke a massive story here, and this is kind of coming off the heels of Kawhi Leonard, who obviously, if you're a Toronto sports fan, you know Kawhi Leonard. One brilliant season with the Toronto Raptors. They won the championship. He was the best player on the team and arguably the best player in the NBA that year and helped them win. And if, again, you follow the Toronto sports scene, you will know that Kawhi Leonard has been in the news cycle recently because it was found that he apparently was involved with some company that went bankrupt that owed Kawhi Leonard $28 million. And this company was owned or had an association with Steve Ballmer, who was the owner of the Clippers. And it's believed to be that there was some extra money off the books being given to Kawhi Leonard outside
to do work without
NBA.
showing.
Do work. Well, this was to do whatever. It was plant seeding money or something like that. For
planting trees. Yeah,
planting trees. Yeah. Anyways, they found a way to give him an extra $30 million off the books above the max salary so that they could lure Kawhi into LA as opposed to stick in Toronto. Apparently, that's not all that was asked, and there was a couple of things that were asked of the Raptors prior to him signing in LA that Kawhi and his family members wanted prior to him signing in LA. One was the same thing. They wanted. So here's kind of the quote from Bruce Arthur. He tweeted this out. In 2019, Kawhi Leonard's uncle asked the Raptors for a piece of the Leafs and a Paul George trade, while also asking for two big extras: no show sponsorships and ownership shares in outside companies, which is where the Aspiration company apparently may have popped into the equation with the Clippers, where he magically ended up with an extra $30 million. But no show sponsorships, where essentially he gets sponsored and doesn't have to do anything. So what the hell that's all about? Basically the exact same